Hello, folks. I'm having a chat with Harmful Opinions about Candid, so you can tell that nobody's really going to care about this, and there won't be any sort of shit flicking on Twitter after this.
No, that never happens. Never.
So yeah. To say what you were just saying before we went live, man.
Oh yeah, we were just. I mean, we were just talking about stuff, and Sargon decided it would be better to have it live because people would be interesting.
Yeah.
People would be interested even. I guess I was starting to explain that basically the reason I don't care, or the reason I have a problem with the skeptic community stuff and the idea of maybe letting stuff go is that the general idea, if it's too distracting from a more important goal. Have I understood that right?
Sorry, say again. Well, the thing about letting things go.
So the way I was sort of understanding the skeptic community video was putting things into a context of fighting a culture war, and what's more important for success in that.
No, that's not the be all and end all. I think it's understanding that there is a culture war going on, whether you like it or not. And one of the things I'm seeing, I mean, like the whole Candid thing, I don't disagree that Candid's probably a shitty app with people who have shitty intentions and all this sort of thing.
That's not the problem so much, though.
Right. Okay. I guess what I was really trying to explain is, I mean, the reason the SJWs are eventually going to lose is probably because of their demand for purity. I mean, watching Laurie Penny get chewed out by Antifa supporters was just priceless, calling her a liberal Nazi collaborator and stuff. And it's just like, holy shit, that is just so divorced from reality. You know, the idea that Laurie Penny just, by writing a hit piece on Milo, she's a Nazi collaborator. Just, I mean, come on, that's just fucking ridiculous. But this is where purity tests go. And so basically what I think is important is to define the acceptable bounds of impurity. And I think that
impurity of what?
Of just the people that we, the person that you are. And the content you produce and the things that you're willing to do. And I don't think taking sponsorships should be outside of the bounds of what we consider to be reasonable ethical standards.
I don't have a problem with sponsorships.
Okay, well then that's something we can agree on then. I mean, I personally do, actually. I personally don't like them.
Well, I wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's to my personal taste.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. I personally wouldn't, because I wouldn't want to sully myself like that. But
when it comes to Candid, I think so. Here's an example of an issue people have been interested in today. So you have Sean Head making her original video, right?
Yeah.
Then you have her making a video where she says, "Okay, that was a one-off thing. I'm off contract now."
Yeah.
Then you have her making another ad, making the video where she says she's off contract, private, hidden, and saying in the new ad that actually, like I said in my original video, I'm doing this next Candid video and it's a sponsored video.
Okay.
I think people feel a bit deceived when she was saying she's off contract and it was a one-time thing.
Oh, right, because you're saying that she wasn't off contract because in the contract itself was a non-disparagement clause for 2 years.
No.
No?
That is not the case. Well, that's probably the case. She said in a video called "Can to Do Nothing." Have you seen that?
I probably have, but it was a while ago.
Yeah, she's unlisted it now.
Right. Okay.
And in it she explains, "I'm not defending them at all because I'm still on contract or because I'm getting paid or anything. It's now private." On the 13th of last month, she put out another ad, and in that ad she explained, "Oh, like I said in my original video, here's my next, Candid video."
Right.
Now, they don't explicitly disclose the sponsorship at the beginning of their video. However, in the description, it says it is indeed a sponsored video.
Right. Okay. So I mean, that for me, that's an acceptable level of marking it. Do you agree, or?
No, but I think people are more annoyed that she said that was a one-time thing and she's off the contract now. when it appears that that was not true.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, I agree. I mean, she shouldn't have said that she's off the contract if she's not off the contract.
And what makes it particularly, suspect, I think, is that she unlisted that Candid do nothing. I don't know when it was unlisted. Maybe it was unlisted.
Hang on. Sorry, I'm fucking sorry. I knew this was going to happen.
Right. Oh shit, folks! I do Twitch streams and I like hum and shit when shit goes quiet. So prepare for whistling, perhaps, or not. I'll try to entertain you. Maybe I'll sing. Hey now, you're a rock star. Maybe I can get hundreds of thousands of views a day doing covers with those lyrics.
Sorry about that. He's such a little shit, I swear. Right, okay, so yeah. So Shu did a video saying, right, she's not doing Candid contracts anymore. She's off the contract. She unlisted the video saying that and then did another Candid video.
It's a bit more precise than that. It's a bit more specific. So does this video. Then I do basically what happened is I saw her video and I was like, holy fuck, everyone is endorsing this thing. I wonder if there's anything weird that's not being mentioned that people would care about. So I'm in this Discord chat room. I say that. I do a Google search. I'm like, oh fuck. People normally get annoyed about bots and stuff like that. So I decided to make a video and say, yo, fucking everyone else is endorsing this thing. None of them have mentioned this. None of the people who, share the same kind of audience and have the same kind of concerns mentioned this. I think it's pretty important. It's pretty key. And then people did get annoyed about that. And obviously it upsets you, right? Having people say all that stuff, whatever they were saying.
I'm not really worried about people's feelings on this. I'm really trying to judge like the level of malfeasance that we're talking about. Because
if you check out
as someone on the outside, it just seems a bit autistic. It seems that people are like, don't worry, I'm not saying any of it's invalid. I'm just saying, like, is this something I'm prepared to waste my time on?
You don't have to.
Oh no, I know.
I mean, I am actually autistic, so that probably.
And the thing is, right? I'm not against. I'm actually rather in favor of investigative journalism like this. Finding out what's going on. And
it's my jam. It's what I do. It's part of the reason my channel exists, and I'm finding it quite reminiscent of the way game journalists behaved. Right? They get called out, and then you end up with the critics essentially. I'm not caring so much necessarily about me, but do you remember Armored Skeptic's video?
I don't think I've actually seen it. I've heard about it, but I've never taken the time to look at it.
Right. I think it's one of his least well-received videos, perhaps, just looking at the like and dislike.
Right.
To me, I see that, and it's like I was reminded very strongly of when people are critical of game journal stuff and they end up turning on their audience, sort of thing.
Right. Okay.
So, especially if you haven't seen it and if you haven't noticed the exact response to that, maybe
I might see. While we're talking, I'm just going to look it up just to see if I did.
I think maybe one of the reasons people are interested, because I'm really concerned with serving my audience, and one of the reasons I keep going with this is because people want more of it. And I think perhaps that's part of why.
Oh, is it the one called Censored Opinions?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That is not a reference to me at all.
Right. Okay. I'm not sure if I watched it. I'll give it a watch after the stream, though.
Right.
Right. Okay. So okay. What is it you feel they've actually done wrong here? Because I mean, if they're in the wrong, I'm happy to say, well, yeah, I agree that they're in the wrong.
I think the most obvious thing, the one thing that I didn't realize people didn't realize, well, actually, stop. Let me stop for a second.
That's okay.
There are a few people who did things that are very obviously screwed. I mean, there was the Mundane Matt thing where he didn't disclose it properly, and then he sort of fixed it by changing the title. The Black Pigeon Speaks one is fucking ridiculous. No disclosure whatsoever.
Don't watch a huge amount of Black Pigeon Speaks. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's quite widespread, and there are quite a lot of problems. Part of the reason as well why I find why I'm annoyed at people talking about community infighting is because it's quite a bit bigger than Skeptic Community. For example, I brought up there's this guy who does tech reviews or something, doing a paid.
You talking about Review Tech USA? Yeah?
No. His was really good.
Oh,
he mentioned everything I thought he should have mentioned.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I'm not saying
I don't watch him either. I just know.
I don't know if he's a free speechy person or if his audience would care, but he brought up everything I thought anyone would care about.
Yeah.
When it comes to, because I think the people you're most interested in are Shu and Skeptic, because I think most people are most interested in them as well.
Probably.
Yeah. So for Shu, one of the reasons. Oh shit! One sec.
He's burning the Jews, so you should do them over easy. But
right. So especially today, when I pointed out something that I thought people knew, but turns out they didn't. I'll lay out the scenario again.
Okay.
There's a sponsored video. I criticize the thing, and people end up getting mad at her, and there's all these tweets about, saying people need to calm down. When I said, I wonder if the people who took these sponsorships are allowed to say anything bad, she was like saying, you need to calm down and stuff. And she ends up doing a video called Candid Do Nothing, in which she says, oh, people think I'm just defending it because they're paying me or because I'm on contract or whatever. But I'm not. And she's saying she's not being paid. Contract's over is a one-time thing. Later, last month in January, I think on the 13th, she puts out another video. That's an ad. And in it, she explains this is basically a continuation of her original ad. And in the original ad, she said she'd be doing a video with responses to stuff on Candid, which suggests to me it was all part of the contract.
Possibly. It could be something that was arranged afterwards.
But then why would it be within the original video mentioned?
Good question.
And in between those two, she said, the contract's over, it was a one-time thing. And she's not being paid now. And on top of that, in between those two sponsored videos, she interviews the CEO. And it's a really nice interview. Contrast that with Baring's interview.
Did she interview the CEO? I didn't see that.
You did.
Did I?
You sent me a link to it, and we're talking about how legit she sounds.
Oh, fucking hell. This is why I didn't want to get into this. I haven't really been keeping track. Okay, so I have seen it. Oh, fuck's sake. Hang on a second while I go beat my son.
I'm expecting to hear a series of dull thuds. That's the sound of the end of... What's Sargon's kid called? Daniel Akkad's demise at the hands of Daddy. Maybe I should do mouth noises to disturb you. I don't have chat up, by the way. You could be doing anything. You could be posting friendship windmills.
I don't have the chat either. Right, okay. So she interviewed Bindu, sorry, and she seemed legit, right?
Well, to you, she did.
Right, okay.
But I'm saying, considering considering how it appears that this person says they're off contract, and then they make another video that's sponsored that they don't actually explicitly disclose in the video, but it is in the description. And they explain in the video that, yeah, this is the thing I talked about in the first sponsored video that we were going to do. And in between the first and the second, they made a video saying it was a one-time thing, contract's over, not being paid, not connected right now. And also in between those two, she does an interview with this CEO that is pleasant, right? And then you compare that to when when the CEO is talking to Baring. I think you saw that. I
don't think I watched the entire thing. But
it was a train wreck.
Yeah, I saw the
absolute train wreck.
Harmful Opinions as God Spurg out from
yes. Yeah, and it's just, I think there's a very strong appearance of impropriety there.
Right, okay.
At the very least, there's an appearance of impropriety. I think there probably is impropriety.
Right, and what impropriety exactly are you implying?
I think the video she's now hidden, she was lying in when she said contract's over, one-time thing, not being paid now. And then to then do another sponsored video referring to the original saying she was going to do this second one, it tells you that it was planned originally. Why would it be unlisted as well? My suspicion is that it's unlisted because it contains that claim.
It's entirely possible. I have no answer for that, I'm afraid. Okay, that's fine. So if your suspicions are correct, what should Shu do?
I don't know. I just criticize stuff.
Okay.
I mean, it's up to her what she does.
Sure, but I mean, like,
if people are interested in it, I'm going to keep looking at stuff, talking about it, whatever. But really, that's it. There's also the other thing I think people are annoyed at is because it's known that people were explicitly approached to make, quote, counter videos, whatever that means.
Yeah.
By marketers. So have you seen the email? The message. The guy basically,
I'm aware that they've done that. I'm aware of it.
Yeah. So the guy said to one of the people who are sponsored that they're having influencers. So at least 2 people did counter videos. They've had influencers make counter videos. They say to him, would you make one as well? Which makes it seem like Ahmed Skeptic was asked specifically to do that.
Right.
When I asked him about it and asked him for comment before I interviewed the CEO, which never ended up happening, he said to me, actually, I was going to come to you and talk about this, but I was scared you'd out me like I outed some black guy.
Right, okay. And what did he do wrong?
Oh, it was just... he was telling me about how it was damage control, and I tried to fuck with the CEO with that.
Right, okay. Jesus, I wish I hadn't got involved in this now. It's a lot more complicated than I was expecting.
Yeah. Well, I told you about the...
You did, yeah.
On October 7th, when you called
me.
You know
the dates and everything. I was like,
well, it's just because I was looking at it today.
Yeah, I know. I'm joking. Okay, so... Right,
a lot of people are not very pleased with the idea that at least 2, because this guy said they had influencers do it, at least 2 of these people they consider skeptics. I'm not into that label at all or anything like that. I don't like it.
I know, but I mean, you know, I don't fucking, what label are we using? It's just the one that everyone happens to use.
I proper want to be out group. I don't like any of this stuff. I'm considering rebranding and everything, just to. It's really not.
Dude, I don't care what you do. You know, I was just using the label that I think people would understand what I'm talking about.
But I'm finding that I need to distance myself because I try to criticize things I want to criticize, and when it occurs within people who I've seen as part of a group I'm in, you end up with the people who are talking about infighting. It's like, no, I don't want to be in.
Yeah, no, you be out as much as you want. It's completely up to you what you do. So yeah, I mean, I just didn't have a better name for it. But the thing is, a community is just people who talk to each other, basically, and who share a same interest. And, you know, critiquing things is something that a lot of people do.
Yeah,
So,
technically, but there's
I know.
very much an issue with people viewing things as being part of a movement of some sort, particularly when you get into the culture war element.
Well, there's no doubt there's a culture war going on.
I don't disagree, but how to say this? How strongly defined the sides are, I want to avoid being viewed as part of a side in it necessarily, because my concerns, most of the things I'm interested in don't necessarily fall neatly into that context, and I'm very concerned with things I want to bring up, issues I want to explore, being invalidated by putting into the context of culture war, and it being determined that, okay, this isn't effective for this side of the culture war.
I can definitely understand that concern, and I wouldn't want you to feel that you couldn't. I mean, personally, you know, for example, if I was in your position,
I'm noticing lack of efficacy because of it. It is a pragmatic issue. It's to do with the way people feel about things, but it's a pragmatic issue because I think it takes the critical edge off of out of people's out of the way people look at things, because they see people as being on their side.
Oh, that happens without a doubt. There's no doubt that occurs. I certainly wouldn't want anyone to think that they can't be critical of, like, me or anyone else. That's certainly not something I would agree with. I mean, do you think that
I think the thing is, what I'm talking about isn't really something that anyone else needs to be bothered with, though.
No, I know.
It's what I personally want to do and achieve.
Yeah, sure, and you know, you should do what you want to do.
But with regard to the main thing we're talking about, to do with these particular sponsorships, because I mean, if my problem was with sponsorships overall, I'd be like, look at this motherfucker doing Loot Crate. Or like, look at these dog treats. Look at this fucking dog treat show. But it's, although some people who've seen my videos,
okay, well,
take that approach, it's really not what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I gathered that. Okay, so one thing that I see repeatedly is people condemning Shu and Skeptic for information that came out after they did their sponsorship.
What information?
Just, you know, the sort of Candid has like child porn on it, or Candid has an algorithm that's, you know, or something, you know, some.
Well, the algorithm thing is actually
the extent of what the deal is with the algorithm.
Well, that's actually on Candid's website.
No, I know, but you did an investigation into it, didn't you?
Yeah, didn't really need to, though, because what the CEO herself says is so mental. When in my opinion, the child pornography stuff was a little while before the last ad they did.
Right. Okay.
They've done ads after that stuff.
Right. Okay. Because the way it pissed me, and I regard myself as like an outsider in this argument, because I just don't care, to be honest. But the way it seemed to me is that,
well, you cared enough to talk to me about it for like 2 months.
Yeah, I talked about a lot.
Convince me not to.
Did I try and convince you to not do something?
Yeah, you were trying to get me to do to look at. I think it was the issue with the BBC and talking about not having white people thing.
Oh, that was probably my personal crusade at the time.
And you were explaining to me that it might be valuable to have a connection to something like Candid. You were explaining that.
Oh yeah, no, not Candid specifically. Yes, okay, yeah. What I was trying to explain is that the other side has institutional influence, and we don't. And this is one of the things that I was trying to explain in the video as well. I guess I didn't do a very good job of it.
This is the thing. I don't particularly care about the idea. I don't consider myself to be a combatant on a particular side. I'm more interested in doing the stuff I'm interested in.
Yeah, sure, and you should do.
It will line up a lot of the time. but that doesn't factor in to whether I'm going to do something or not.
Okay, and that's
when
fine.
it might
You
otherwise
should absolutely do
so
that.
if that was a concern of mine.
Sure, and you absolutely should. But I think that for the people who are trying to actively prevent these people from corrupting everything, and I guess I didn't realize at the time that you weren't one of these people. There's a definite advantage to having some influence over institutions. There's a definite advantage to having an in with people, but that's a more pragmatic concern.
Yes, but also I think this is a very, very, very terrible choice of thing to endorse, particularly because. So, okay, here's another thing to address that is very easy to misunderstand. I enjoy winding people up, right? One thing I mention throughout the videos, I say like maybe they're training it to spread it everywhere else. I was very careful to also say I don't think that's what they're doing though. That was to piss off the CEO. And it worked very, very well. She was very angry about that suggestion, even though I said, I don't believe this, though. Unfortunately, some people, like 100%, believe it. Which has unfortunately taken away from something that is very serious, that is more realistic. Although, to get into the technical side of things, it's been explained to me they could be creating a corpus, whatever that is, that could be used by other things. I don't fucking know about all that stuff.
Right.
To summarize why I think this is such a big deal, and particularly with people doing repeat endorsements, a huge problem, something that affects certainly everyone watching this now, because I'd count YouTube as some kind of social media filtering. It is going to be an increasing problem. Twitter's just stepping it up. Twitter's stepping it up and using the same language as Candid. We've seen how politicians want to meddle with Facebook to get rid of things, for example, against immigration. If the people you'd expect to be critical of this kind of stuff have endorsed something that utilizes as a main feature. If you look at Candid's own ads, the whole thing is, this is a place where bullies and trolls are not allowed. It says something like that in their actual ad. And it's all about, clearing it up. And the reasoning behind it is the same sort of shit you hear from Twitter and Facebook. Abuse or low quality comments get in the way of real discussion. And I think people can see how that could be
Hang on again, sorry.
abused. Do you guys like Django Reinhardt? I can't see if you do.
Again, really sorry about that. What did you say there?
It's all right. It's
all
right.
He's being a little shit. He's doing it for the fun of it now.
He wants to be on the stream.
He wants to be a troll. That's what he fucking wants.
Right. Natural troll.
Yeah, exactly. He's following in my footsteps. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, sorry, what were you saying? Right.
So, forgetting any implications for free speech to do with what Candid's doing specifically.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Everywhere is going towards this trend of cracking down and using bots. Wired just released a piece praising Twitter for increasing the crackdown on low quality comments and of abuse, which I suspect will be abuse with many quotations marks around it. As I think you experienced, you've tasted the or
it doesn't have to be very abusive to be counted as abuse, even when the person is saying, I don't feel abused by this. Yes.
And I think you agree that what tons of social media, Twitter, Facebook is doing is not very good.
Well, I mean, I do. Yeah,
fake news filtering.
On the face of it, I obviously do. This is why I've been supporting Minds, because as far as I can tell, they're the best chance we have for an actual free speech platform.
Right.
Have you used Minds, don't you?
Yeah, I need to make another account.
Why? What happened to your Minds one?
I was compromised quite badly.
Oh, they're fucking fucks, man. Jesus. Talk about sneak tactics.
Luckily, I didn't have too many people shifted over to Minds, so
yeah.
Whatever.
So anyway, so I agree with you that this is happening. I mean, we haven't got any evidence this is directly linked to Candid, do we?
No. This is exactly what I'm saying. There are tons of people trying to say it is. Tons of people have taken the thing I put into videos to wind up the CEO with a bit too seriously.
Yeah.
The real issue there is we have people who should be criticizing these other sites who've endorsed a website that incorporates this kind of filtering as a primary feature it's sold on. So what I think you end up with there is a definite conflict of interest.
Okay, I think we need to analyze the language here. Is it an endorsement or is it a sponsorship by them?
The company sponsors them.
Yeah, is that necessarily an endorsement?
Telling people to use something because it's good, I would call an endorsement.
Well, it's not. Is it because it's good or is it because they're being paid?
I mean, they could be lying about what they're saying.
I imagine that people who get paid to shill things probably are lying, aren't they?
It's still an endorsement, though. Okay. If you say something is good and you should use it, and people should use it, you've endorsed it.
I suppose.
I'd say.
I personally tend
to.
What
is an endorsement? Does the intent behind the endorsement have to be?
It is, but when someone has to pay you to endorse something, I mean, maybe it's just the way I perceive it that I'm looking at it through here. Because I mean, I automatically disregard anyone who's paid to endorse something. I just ignore whatever they're saying.
That's you.
They're being paid. Yeah, I know. It's just me. I understand. Yeah,
I do the same. However, I don't think that. Well, there are plenty of people who don't, and of course, when it's someone who hasn't disclosed so well, it's harder to ignore it.
See, now, my issue isn't necessarily that they've taken a paid video, even if they took a paid video from like Anita Sarkeesian or something, even if they, I like literally, if she had taken money from Anita Sarkeesian to do a video saying Anita Sarkeesian's new web series is great, and this has been paid for by Anita Sarkeesian, I would have no problem with her doing that. If she took the money, she accepted the job, she's being paid for it, and she's disclosed this, I might find that amusing. I might have a few things to say about it, but in and of itself, I don't think it's beyond the bounds of regular practice.
I'm not saying it is.
Yeah, I know. So I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that necessarily. It's, for me personally, any lack of disclosure is the problem. That's what I really am bothered by.
That's one of multiple problems, though. For Shu's first video, that's not really a problem.
Yeah.
When it comes to Shu, the issue is this video that was in between her two ads that claimed the first was a one-time thing, and then the second ad refers to the first ad as having said that this second ad was going to happen.
Right. Okay. All right.
When it comes to lack of disclosure, there are shit tons of people. The only people within the sort of realm of skeptic community or whatever it's being called, for example, would be Black Pigeon Speaks, whose video doesn't include any disclosure. Really? The second ad Sean Head and Skeptic did together does not have an explicit disclosure at the beginning of the video. In fact, I had someone trying to convince me that it wasn't a sponsored video. I had to point out to them that it says in the description.
All right, so there was like information on the video that said it was sponsored.
In the description of the second one, yeah. But the trick with the Shu one in particular is that the thing that was wrong is hidden. She's hidden the thing that was wrong. It's an unlisted video. You can't actually find it on her channel anymore.
Right. Okay.
It's explained in the video I put up today at the beginning.
Okay.
And so people are quite perturbed at the idea of people who've bought into the idea of skeptic community or skeptic as an identity. I think quite a few of them are perturbed by the idea of these people taking money to counter criticism of a product.
I can't say I approve of it either.
I think they find that to be a betrayal. At least is my understanding, especially with the people I've seen commenting.
If you're going to do something and you're being paid to do it, and you're not disclosing that you're being paid to do it, then you are.
The problem is not just that it's not just non-disclosure, though, is the particular context. Having these people knowing that people were approached particularly, or specifically, to counter criticism. I think that bothers people, even though it was disclosed that it was paid for. The little bit of hidden info, the omission that they were paid in particular to counter, or at least it looks that way because it's now been leaked that people were being approached. So there's an appearance of impropriety at the very least.
Yeah.
People don't appreciate that element of it.
It's entirely possible that they were being paid specifically to make a counter video as well. So I don't think we can rule that out.
Well, the Amazing Atheist said his one was rejected.
Okay, that's one thing I like about TJ is that he's just that honest. I was going to make a counter video, but they told me to fuck off.
And then Ahmed Skeptic's response to me saying, I know people were approached to make counter videos, was him saying, I was going to tell you about this, but I was scared you'd out me, like you outed one of the other people.
Right, okay. So the problem is the appearance of impropriety and the lack of disclosure.
For some, there's the issue of lack of disclosure. For others, there's an appearance of impropriety that might not be able to be resolved.
Entirely possible.
Shu's one is fascinating to me because
Okay,
it's the whole. I just remembered like the other day. Why does this seem so fucky to me? And I was like, oh yeah, because that video where she said it was a one-off thing was hidden. I mean, there are dozens of scum buckets on YouTube who are making totally undisclosed ads. There are reviews, but within this circle of people I've become associated with, there's a shared audience that expects a higher standard.
Agreed.
So, in looking to serve them, what I point out is stuff that perhaps the audience of someone like PewDiePie might not give a shit about.
No, I agree with you. I think that's an accurate assessment. I think,
and even coming from a pragmatic perspective, people doing things like this, or people not being careful when it comes to taking sponsorships, will hurt your side, because perhaps it will be someone who's a lot more vicious than I am. Let's say someone who's an SJW or something.
Oh yeah,
figures out a way to work.
Okay, look, I'm not trying to defend them on the principle that we're friends or anything like that. I mean, if they make mistakes, they make mistakes, and they should apologize. Fuck's sake, who's fucking fuck off, V? Sorry about that. I'm in the middle of a fucking important discussion about an app, V. So yeah, okay. So I think
it's worth noting that it's not just an app, as people keep repeating as well. It's straight up just a website like Twitter. They just have an app as well.
Yeah, like I think that's. I think they mean it as the platform when they say app. Okay.
Yeah, but would people say when people get pissed off about stuff happening on Twitter, would people accept it's just an app?
Well, Twitter is the problem is that it's an established thing already. If you've got something,
these people are trying to establish the platform.
I appreciate that.
They're doing the work to do that.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with you exposing the things about the app that need to be exposed. I mean, I wouldn't use it based on what I found out from you. So that's, I mean, I think that's a valuable service, and I think that anyone who has concerns about something should voice those concerns. I'm not even that worried about like, I'm not even worried about like the movement or anything like that. And I shudder to use words like that. Let me just arrange my thoughts so I say this correctly.
Right.
So, you know, I guess what I was concerned about is, I mean, if we want there to be a decent and credible alternative media, then it will have to be funded somehow. And my personal preference for that is obviously Patreon. I think that people should be funded directly from their audience, because that way they're the people they're serving. And I think it's important to serve your audience. I don't think it's right to propagandize them. I don't think it's right to mislead them. And I don't think it's right to to take money for a particular cause and not reveal that you've taken money for that cause, no matter what the cause is, you know, whether it's an app or whatever, you know. And I agree with you that the sort of area of the internet that we inhabit tends to be populated by people who do have high expectations of these content creators. And I think that's probably the one thing that really unites everyone in what could be called the skeptic community, is the presupposition that we all understand, and because a lot of us did come out of like Gamergate, that we understand that honestly,
it's a double whammy here though, because it's to do with people having high standards and this thing being so relevant to concerns people have regarding
I know.
information. Because I mean, let's say someone shilled dog treats and didn't tell you they were paid. I think it would be very hard for people to get too upset about that.
I think there would definitely be the autistic fringe who did still get upset by it. But I agree with you what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, when it comes to,
it is relevant to other social media platforms that we use.
Yes, and
yeah, I agree.
And people are annoyed because after people were annoyed about having been shown this thing and recommended it by people who they'd expect to have known, they would have wanted to know about the kind of moderation on it, or the level of moderation on it. After that came out, what I keep seeing of people who are really annoyed is the continued defense. That pissed people off. Like, I'm sure you remember in Gamergate, when people are annoyed about one thing and then they see this defense in a, and of course people
I understand what you're saying. When something's been exposed to be obviously negative, don't continue to defend it. Okay, so what I guess
it's not even just that. If we take Armored Skeptic's video, for example, there was an element of antagonism towards members of his audience who are critical of it. There was, you know, doing a stupid voice with some people's criticisms of it, and then showing why they're wrong. And this one of the things I marked him for was one of the things they're planning to roll out is having the bot check Twitter and Wikipedia to see if something's true or not, and then labeling posts as true or rumor. And the guy says, as a skeptic, I can only endorse this feature, which I found absolutely fucking bizarre.
Sorry, what's the feature going to do?
The bot's gonna look through sources such as Twitter and Wikipedia to check if something said in a post is true or a rumor, and then flag it to warn people.
I mean, on paper it sounds fine, but Jesus Christ, we know that's going to be abused.
Well, I think part of the idea behind it is they don't want to allow slander, and they want to automatically not allow it. I don't like the idea of an opaque system labeling things as true or as a rumor because of the influence.
Again, you know, on paper,
especially
it sounds like
in an anonymous system, you don't know where something's come from. It would be so easy to abuse and put your own posts in. Let's say you have control of it and you want to maybe influence people, put something in there, rig it so it says it's true. Now, most people aren't retarded and aren't going to fall for that. But the little bit of influence something like that could have. Or let's say it just gets something wrong and says something's true when it's not, or says something's a rumor.
Yeah, I don't really like the idea of this kind of moderation anyway, because it just, I mean, it just depends on what the definition of the truth of the matter is as to whether it's true or not. Because, I mean, if you went by Wikipedia, Gamergate was nothing but a harassment.
That would be an example.
Yes, it would be a prime example. And yeah, I agree. I don't like that idea either.
So to me, a huge issue is this idea we're seeing of people trying to push for social media sites to be filtered by default, for everything to be filtered. Fucking Stella Creasy was pushing this last year, trying to get all the main social media to give access to police to decide things.
Oh yeah, it's gone further than that. I mean, the German government have got a stranglehold.
Yeah, it's fucking mental. To me, a huge fight is to be against this filtering, where the owner of the social media is given the power to set the tone, and
would
it needs to be
some
fought
kind
for.
of culture war? Sorry, God.
Well, here's the thing. Well, yeah. I guess my point is that I consider these people to be on whichever side that stuff is on, having endorsed something that does this, which is why I don't think it's so clear. I think it has to be looked at more like if you're on the left or on the right. Being on the left or right doesn't mean all your things are left or all your things are right.
No, of course.
It's, I don't know how you want to split the culture war. Maybe you want to say authoritarian, libertarian, or
I think that's generally the accepted definition.
Because I mean, in the US, they'd probably say conservative, liberal.
Yeah, but their definition
and
is
it's a bit different.
Yeah, no, I appreciate what you're saying, and I agree with you that this was certainly a mistake by the people who did it and didn't disclose it. I don't think it's just not disclosing it. And then went on to.
It's not even just that. It's too because it's very easy to get a sponsorship. I find it odd people saying it isn't, especially after Google acquired Famebit in October. There's a near automated website you can go to if you have 5,000 or more subscribers.
Really?
Famebit, yeah. I fucking hate it personally. But,
yeah, I don't like it at all.
if you're fine with that, I keep seeing people talking about how hard sponsorships are. Being a musician and having been connected to all the sort of stuff like that with guitarists in particular, I guess seeing people finding sponsorships has always been something I've seen around. So maybe it's a bit trickier for people, or maybe people think it's harder than it is because they're not used to that and they're shifting away from ad rev because that's just dying.
Well, you know what's really interesting, right? When just to give my own personal perspective on this, I mean, I probably get like a request for sponsorship like once every couple of days. I'll get an email from someone saying, "Hi, exciting opportunity to sponsor you," and normally I either reply with just "I don't take sponsorships" or I just ignore it. And so the whole idea that it's difficult to get sponsorships, I guess I didn't realize. And I don't really agree. I think that, if you've got even like a moderate audience, it's probably easy enough to find sponsorships.
You only need 5,000 to get into this sort of automated kind of site. And there are tons and tons and tons. And it's just like, you either put your profile on there, and then you have the people with brands putting their stuff on there. I'm on there as a brand because I want to try to get people to shill some nonsense, see if I can fuck with them. But if you're into that kind of thing, you really don't need to, in my eyes, undermine your side or whatever by. I mean, if you're all okay with social media filtering and all that sort of stuff, by all means.
Well,
for the people who aren't, I think it's absolutely fucking mental to have gotten involved with social media. I think for anyone who's communicating, anyone who's doing social commentary, to endorse one platform or over another, especially for money, to connect themselves in that way is incredibly foolish, because if the platforms you use or other platforms you use start to cause a problem for you, and you then criticize them, people are going to notice that, well, this is just the one that didn't pay you. And like, imagine if something bad happens with Twitter, I don't know, or something else, and your opponent sees on the idea of Candid or something like that, something that whips people up, what they could do with that if they manage to leverage that into making someone look like a hypocrite and undermine their complaints about what's happening.
I'm not worried about that. I think having gadflies within our own quote unquote community is a needful, a necessary and valuable service. So I'm not at all begrudging you for doing what you've done. I've got no right to tell you what to do anyway, but I don't.
I think we both understand that side of things.
I don't resent it or anything like that. I think that I get the feeling, and I haven't spoken to Shu and Skeptic about this, so I imagine about what I'm about to say. So I imagine that they'll probably be like, no, and I'm just going to get a lot of flack. But I doubt they put this much thought into it when doing this.
I would be surprised if they didn't at this point, though.
At this point, sure. But when first accepting this, they probably just thought, well, it's a sponsorship. It's from an app that are billing themselves as free speech. And they want to have conversations about various topics without, anonymously, all this sort of thing. And I can understand someone wanting to get just gas the nigger kikes or something. That's not very useful for any kind of discussion. So I can understand if there are people who want to have a discussion without that kind of thing. But again, that's not what I would personally say. I can just understand the idea. Go on.
The trouble here is there is a fight that I'm very aware of, and that is the platform filtering versus individuals being allowed to filter. And
go on.
That's a fight that's being very, very strongly fought by the side that wants the platform to set the tone.
Yes.
And I'm seeing the people I'd expect to be fighting the allow people to decide how things are filtered themselves endorse something that's all about having the platform set the tone. And then because you say you haven't seen Ahmed Skeptic's video. His video is essentially defending the idea of having a platform set the tone. If you're looking at it in terms of that sort of clash.
Right, okay. Well, it's if people want to have a platform that does that, that's their choice. And I don't think that I have a right to tell them they're not allowed that or they shouldn't want that or anything like that. It's not particularly what I want. I don't send like nigger fag kike or anything, so I might tweet that out now just to say that I do. But
well, you do have a habit of sending pornography at people who don't want it.
Hey, that's their problem. What was I saying? No, but you know what I mean. Like, if people want a platform where like a certain grade of conversation is going to be automatically filtered, that's their choice, and I think they should be allowed to make that choice if they want. I personally think that's a bad thing. So
there's an issue for people where it seems that people who would otherwise be against that have become for it.
That's the interesting thing, and it, like you say, it's obviously because they're being paid.
When you can see people talking about how retarded Twitter's filter is, and then endorsing and defending this other site that's basically the same. Sometimes defending it on the basis that it's basically the same.
Right. I got the impression they didn't look into it as deeply as this. But I might be wrong.
How deeply do you mean? To know that there's this bot?
Well, knowing that there's the bot's one thing, but knowing what the bot is actually doing is another thing. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, Candid haven't been completely candid about what their bot does, have they?
it's not necessarily that. It's that the description of what it does is, while being true, is quite
It omits
open
some
to
important information,
interpretation when it comes to understanding. And in practice, it is a bit sketchy.
And I agree. It looks sketchy to me, and I certainly wouldn't use it myself. So the thing that I'm looking at, the way this seems to me, and this is just my impression of it, is that the people who did a promotional video for this did so because they were sold it under the guise of it being a free speech platform. There is obviously moderation, but I mean, you get that everywhere, so that in and of itself is hardly that surprising. I don't think they realized the depth of it. And
one thing that stands out to people that I pointed out in one of my polemics was that it's been made known that the people sponsored were sent a list of talking points that included the idea that it's moderated by AI. When you see more SJW channels promoting it, they mention it. When you see more free speechy channels, they omit that information, even though it's known to have been on the talking point sheet, which makes it seem like a deliberate omission.
Right. Well, which
I would say
if it was
is
a talking point that was,
yeah,
I agree with you on that. I didn't know that. Yeah, if they've been provided a selection,
Shu in particular, again, the video she made private, she explains that she knew all about the way it filters stuff, and part of why people are annoyed is the lack of inclusion in these people's videos, even when it's disclosed and everything, because it looks sort of like it was a deliberate exclusion. To me, it looks like a deliberate exclusion. It seemed so obvious to me that the people who watch these kind of channels would want to know about that.
Yeah, I think so too. I wasn't aware they were given a sheet of talking points. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
have you got
Baring mentioned that to me. It's hard for me to find a link to it right now, but it is out there because the link was underneath one of my videos.
We don't have to find it right away. I'm just wondering if I'd like to see it in future, actually.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Okay, so
also something else that annoys people now is what came out of the stream with Baring was the idea that people were signing these contracts with 2 years, 2-year non-disparagement clauses. At first, people were annoyed about that, but then it was like, oh, that's standard or whatever.
That is standard.
When things are standard, however, it was actually optional.
Oh, really? It was an optional clause?
Yeah, you can just ask them about it, and they say, okay, that's fine. Which to a lot of people, when people are meant to be or look free speechy to them, and then it turns out they could have questioned it and it would have gone away, it makes people think, why didn't you question this? So an example of someone who did a promotional video and got rid of the non-disparagement clause would be Undoomed. He's done a promotion. He got them to get rid of that out of the contract.
Really? I didn't know that.
So that's another thing that annoys people. There is so much shit that annoys people in different ways, which is part of why it looks like an absolute clusterfuck. A bit like if you're remembering in or during the height of Gamergate, there was so much shit that it was very hard to sift through. Obviously, it's not that kind of scale.
No,
but
obviously.
A bit of that's happening where you'll see one comment having an entire unique perspective, and the other one going underneath going, no, it's wrong because of this, and then an entire unique perspective.
Okay, so I mean it may not have been apparent that was up for debate.
Why wouldn't you debate it though?
Well, because that's a pretty standard thing to have in any contract, any promotion. I mean, I've worked for loads of corporations, and I've seen a bunch of these, and I had a few of them myself when I was doing Necromancer with various artists. This is just something you put in. This is totally normal.
It's also something you can get taken out a lot of the time.
Well, I didn't realize that. I mean, I would never have agreed to take it out of my contract with someone else. So I can understand.
Can you see why people who view personalities as
hang on.
free speech warriors will be disappointed that someone who's supposed to be concerned with free expression wouldn't be concerned about that?
I can absolutely understand, but I mean, can you understand that? I mean, this is a fairly standard thing in contracts. So you would think that that was just going to be there regardless. I wouldn't have contested it if I was going to accept a contract with them, because I would have thought that that would have been non-negotiable.
You wouldn't even try to ask.
No, but I wouldn't take that contract because of that being in there. But I would have accepted that would have been
I think a lot of the people who are annoyed as well would either expect an attempt to negotiate or not accepting those terms. Obviously, it's not up to the audience to dictate what a creator does. However, their annoyance is up to them as well. And I don't know how to get rid of that, but I know people are interested in this stuff, and I know it makes them pissed off at people.
I'm not trying to say that they're not legitimate. There's no legitimacy for them to be annoyed. I think I would have thought. I'm surprised that they agreed to take it out. Actually, I wouldn't have thought that they would have done that. But non-disparagement clauses and non-disclosure clauses are completely standard, and so it's no surprise that that's there. Is my opinion.
Yeah, it's no surprise that it's there. And perhaps people wouldn't be bothered, let's say, if a PewDiePie was signing that. But because we're talking about audiences who care so much about expression and see people maybe as heroes or something, say what you want or whatever. And then to hear that they've signed something that says that basically makes them vulnerable to a slap, strategic lawsuit against public participation. Turns a few heads.
I agree. Someone's actually just sent me a link to the talking points. If you want to talk about them quickly, since we're here.
I think this is the one that Edgy leaked.
Right. Okay. So this, there are only right. Well, I'll just read the whole thing because it's not very long. Congratulations on being chosen to create a video promoting Candid. We love your voice and talent. See, this is why I hate corporate culture.
Oh yeah.
Fucking empty, just soulless shit. I hate it. Here are some talking points we cover in your video in order to be eligible for the receive payment and some guidelines. Sorry, it's going off the screen here. Can I see this? Okay. Hang on a second. I'm just going to whack that into a document because apparently I can't see it.
Can you link it to me as well? Can you just?
Yeah, give me 2 seconds. But I'll retweet it, so anyone who wants to see it can see it. Right, yeah. So, in order to be eligible to receive payment and some guidelines for any giveaway you conduct as part of your video, creative control. We want to make the video feel authentic and relevant to your followers. Candid allows users to create groups. This means we can create a group for your fans where they can discuss ideas for videos, give you feedback, or have discussions about topics that matter to them. This should help increase their affinity towards you and your channel because they now associate with your channel. We want to encourage your viewers to actively participate in Candid. Here are some ideas, talking points, and how you should format your video. One, in the beginning of your video, you should describe the Candid app in your own words, the features, what it is, what makes it different, why you love the app, etc. Please note, if you describe the app with terms like free speech, you need to highlight the fact that Candid does use artificial intelligence and human moderation to remove things like trolling and hate speech. The app is about open discussion but doesn't allow abuse. Focus on anonymity, ability to have great, honest discussions, and the privacy of anonymity. I mean, that's...
I'd expect that to stand out to people, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's... I mean, they're not saying it's a free speech app.
Yeah, but come on.
Oh, no, that's my problem with it.
All right.
that's not a defense of it.
All right. Robert, no, I'm saying, but I mean, the people in the people who make videos, this doesn't tell them they have to say it if they don't say it's free speech, but I'd expect people to... I'd expect that to...
that would be a red flag to me, yeah.
And that they didn't include it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, yeah, okay. Well, I'll go through that afterwards. But yeah, I mean that's pretty clear that it's not an app for free speech, and I actually think it's the Candid's credit that they go to the point of highlighting that this is something that isn't necessarily a free speech app, and the fact that to highlight that it uses AI and moderation to remove things.
Well, that's the thing. I'm an enemy of it, basically, because I fucking hate it. I hate that shit so much.
Yeah, I don't like it.
But if you look at their site and stuff, they aren't actually pretending it's any good for free speech.
No.
I mean, actually, let me remember. They talk about speaking freely, so I disagree.
A bit of a play on words, really, isn't it?
Yeah. But when you go to the press section of their site, they're like bragging about how, look, it's a safe space and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so the second one is introduce Candid in the groups you found interesting. You should pull between 4 to 8 posts from Candid and talk about it. Voice your own opinion. You must show screenshots of Candid so people are familiar with it. Yeah, it's all standard stuff.
Yeah, the rest is just ad copy.
Yeah, create and encourage your viewers to join your fan group. Verbally say in the video to join your group and the name of your group. Do not create a group after a topic. Name it after yourself or your channel. Video description. Description needs to be on the very top. You post your usual description after.
That's another slightly sketchy thing, because they want you to post their stuff at the very top of your description, which can lead to people putting their disclosure underneath it, which is what David Pakman did.
Oh, did he?
Originally, David Pakman's done 13 ads for them.
Jesus Christ! All right.
Yeah. For real. And a bunch of them I looked at had no disclosure whatsoever in the video, had no disclosure in the description. I asked him about it, and then suddenly disclosures appeared in the description. But underneath all that shit that's in the talking points, he puts like FTC notice. This is an ad or something.
Right. Okay.
That shit annoys me.
Yeah, I can see why someone would be irked by that, but I don't think it's a major issue.
Well, I think non-disclosure of sponsorship is pretty.
I agree, non-disclosure. But to say, well, this isn't at the top of the thing in the thing. Well,
and you only put it in there after.
Oh yeah, well, Pakman, yeah. I meant in general. Right. Their description needs to be on the top. Well, I can understand that. It's not. It's not the worst crime I can think of. Candid is anonymous. That means free to express yourself even. Right. Okay. Yeah. So there's not really much else in there. Right. Yeah. The problem is definitely that Candid isn't a free speech app. And again, I'm just going to shill Minds quickly. Minds like literally is. I've spoke to Bill Ottman a few times, and he seems like a really sound guy with the same concerns that we have when it comes to things like this. I mean, I've seen him post, multiple times on Minds, just how much like Facebook's, you know how Facebook works with their groups and their posts, right? So if you've got like a page with like 10,000 likes, they'll serve it to like 12 people. And you've got to pay to get it to your audience.
As if you'd be doing an ad normally. You have to pay to get access to
your own subscribers. Yeah.
The people who want to see it.
Yeah. And it drives him fucking crazy. And, you can tell just talking to the guy, he's obviously pissed about it. And so it's just like, I find myself feeling a lot more confident in just having spoken to the dude and I've only spoken to him a few times, but I'm far more confident with that, and he's never paid me a penny. So, this is something I shill for free. But honestly, it actually does seem like a much better alternative. And he genuinely seems concerned about this sort of stuff, which is important to me. So yeah, I'm not a fan of these terms and conditions. But again, I mean, this is pretty much what I expected. This is the sort of corporate shit I would never be a part of myself, on the principle that it's corporate shit.
Well, that isn't what people are annoyed about at all. I don't think.
I know. Right. Okay. So let's talk about what we think should be acceptable, because I think this is important. Because I think Amazing Atheist made a good point in a video. I watched a video that he did about this sort of melodrama, and he did make a good point, and that's the point I echoed in my video about it, that if we want an alternative media to exist in whatever form, and not necessarily just a community, but just like, and this is just a general principle for alternative media, if we want something to exist, it has to be funded. And I mean, I don't see myself ever in future taking a sponsorship, because I can't stand this kind of corporate sponsorship crap. But that, I understand that that's my perspective, and for other people, especially Americans, that's less of an issue because they have a much more corporatized culture. I mean, back when I was growing up,
I am an American.
Are you? You don't sound like an American. Yeah. Did you grow up in America?
I spent most of my life over here. I was actually raised by an American businesswoman. although she was involved in something quite different to this, to do with musical instruments.
What I mean is there seems to be a great deal more permissiveness in taking corporate sponsorships with Americans than there does seem to be in Britain. I mean, back when I was growing up, man, like
I haven't been finding that online.
Sorry,
I haven't been finding that online.
Really, that's what I've been finding. It seems to be the British people who are against corporate sponsorship, and the Americans who are just fine with it, in my experience. But I mean, maybe that's just me, you know. But yeah, there seems to be this kind of permissiveness about it, and you know, it's a norm. It's acceptable, and it is normal over here as well. But there's always the sort of basically you're a sellout if you do it, and I've never wanted to be a sellout, and I can honestly put my hand on my heart, Johnny Fox rocks, and say that I'm not a sellout, which is great.
I personally think it depends on what you're actually doing.
Yeah,
I think it's quite complicated actually. It depends what you're doing, and what the sponsorship is.
Well, that's true.
I mean, terms are and so on.
Yeah, okay, but this is interesting because this is what I was going to get to, and what I was trying to say is I don't think that taking sponsorships should be out of the bounds of what we can reasonably expect people to do, because I think
I've never suggested otherwise.
I know. I'm just making it clear for people, you know. I'm not attacking anything. I think it should be acceptable for people to do it, even if I personally wouldn't do it myself. So, like, you know, if someone wants to take a sponsorship from something, then they should be free to do so, as long as, for me, it's just making sure it's clearly marked. That's the problem. Because then I can just dispose of it. I can just ignore it. And you don't have a problem with that, do you?
It depends. Depends on details.
Okay, that's fine. But as a general rule, you don't have a problem with that.
As a general rule, well, put it this way. As a general rule, I wouldn't try to stop people from taking sponsorships in general. That wouldn't be something I'd fight for. Right,
okay. I mean, Candid's a particularly interesting example, just because of what
it's an absolute clusterfuck.
Yeah, no. It's actually pretty fantastic that this happened first, you know, because I mean, like, I could see a lot of people going to someone like Audible or something like that and taking sponsorships from them, and I don't know why more people don't. In fact, because I see a lot of like.
I think they have an affiliates program.
Yeah,
and I think it's transparent. I think they actually let anyone see what the terms are.
Yeah, I've never heard any complaints about their sponsorships. I mean, I actually use Audible myself, so if I were ever to do it, I'd probably do something like that, and I would at least feel confident in my endorsement of them. But I mean, I wouldn't do it because I don't. But what I'm saying is, I don't think it's illegitimate for people to take sponsorships at all. The problem is Candid and what it does and the context that we're operating in. And I think that we need to be clear about that, because I don't want people to think that they can't be successful doing what they're doing.
I don't care about the standards and stuff like that. I care about my own. Other people can do otherwise. However, I have no interest in I have no interest in defining what I would or would not go off on.
Okay, I think it is important for people to understand then that that's the case. But I mean,
it's my there are my personal standards, and then if a particular example I think is worth.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the thing.
I'm never going to say, here's what I think is acceptable for other people, because then I'll end up finding something that I think for a particular reason is sketchy or don't like, and then there will be a set of standards out there where people go, oh, but you said these standards and technically blah 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 blah.
Yeah, but the problem is there are people doing that anyway. So it's one of the things that I think should be made clear, and that people, because I mean, come on, you said the other day that you understood that this is taking on aspects of a witch hunt.
No, I didn't say that.
You did.
When did I say it was taking on aspects of a witch hunt?
Well, I can find it if you want.
All right.
Fuck's sake! I
remember you saying
my
it.
tweets. Yeah, you agreed. You said, well, I can concede that or something like that.
I don't think I did.
I will find it. Sorry for the people who are just going to have to sit there and wait for me to find this now.
A witch hunt, as in what? What do you mean by that?
Hang on, I'll find it. I'll find it. It was only the other day. I just wish I didn't tweet so fucking much now.
I remember you saying it. I think my comment was something to do with orthodoxy. I think
Hang on, I'll just
quite accepted generally.
yeah, hang on. Oh no, maybe I'm misremembering that. No, you're fine. You're right. You're right.
Can you explain exactly what you mean by witch hunt?
Yeah, I can. The thing is, there is. I'm currently the subject of a witch hunt, actually, by Johnny Fox Rocks. I'm honestly, I'm kind of erect, waiting for him to come out with his dramatic reveal, because he claimed in a tweet the other day that I was.
What's wrong with them if they're enjoyable?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's obviously not something you need to do.
Do you mean skeptics are being cyberbullied? Do we need to stop harassment of women in the skeptic community?
I think we do. I think no, but what I mean is that a lot of what's gone on has been conjecture, and I honestly, really
not conjecture.
Sorry,
not conjecture.
Well, yeah, I mean, like suggesting that a lot of people, like you said, believe that Candid is somehow linked to Twitter doing this because it's using the same sort of language, and it's like, well, that doesn't mean it's connected. That's
not directly, but they've already said in one article that they were influenced by Gab, and that's where they're planning on adding Gab's word filtering system that's user chosen. Perhaps they were inspired by
yeah, exactly, but this is conjecture. This is all like, well, maybe, and there isn't necessarily a great deal of certainty around a lot of certain subjects. And I mean, it's one thing to go after a corporation, but it's another thing to go after an individual YouTuber who's more often than not just a person.
What about a corporation trying to get people to counter an individual YouTuber and the people who go along with that and accept money?
And what's that got to do with what I'm saying?
You're talking about corporations versus individuals.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you can't really persecute a corporation.
Right. So you think how are people being persecuted? By people commenting?
Well, obviously, by people continuously going at them for something that isn't necessarily accurate, and is sometimes based in conjecture, but they're still going on about it anyway. Because, I mean, there is always...
What does that matter?
Well, yeah, there's always a certain autistic fringe who keep going on about things, isn't there?
So what, though?
Well, eventually it does get to people. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it can be difficult doing what we do. Do you not find that?
No.
That's lucky.
I find, well, I mean, I don't have a channel now. I find I'm incredibly blessed to have any kind of income from making videos on the internet.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
unless someone's actually doing something like, putting my credit card details out there, I don't think I can be, I mean, at most, like, a bit annoyed about people saying stuff. I don't think if people hating me could possibly be any significant issue.
Right. So you don't think there's any issue with riling people up at all? I mean, like on something that isn't necessarily even like concrete, But
If
just, I mean,
we're talking
like,
purely
for example, I think what people in Pizzagate are doing is really irresponsible. They don't have any solid evidence, and yet this has turned into a huge.
well, that's
fucking thing,
accusations of child
yeah, but
abduction and things like that.
the point is, there's no solid foundation to it, and
I don't think that's the main issue with that. I don't think that's what makes Pizzagate dangerous.
Really, go on. What do you think makes it dangerous?
Even if it was true, it would still be dangerous to even if something had happened, to do it without specific info, to pin that kind of thing on people is what will lead to violence. Sure. I don't think anyone's in danger from people calling you a sellout to censorship bot or something.
Sure, but I mean, like, how long is it reasonable to expect that to go on for? I mean, if you've still got people doing it, it's like, Jesus Christ, come on. Well, it just doesn't get anywhere, does it? I just find it to be
most of the shit on the internet doesn't get anywhere. Like,
you say that, but
look at the most popular stuff on YouTube, and it's like a rabbit falling over.
Yeah, but that's just normie shit. You know, there are legit things that happen. I mean, like, okay, I'm trying to explain how I feel about this.
What do you want to stop? Like, can you give me an example of a comment?
Let me just think. Let me just see if I can organize my thoughts correctly, because otherwise it's going to come out wrong, and I know what people are going to say. And this is the sort of thing I'm talking about, right? Like, a lot of this is down to the least charitable interpretation of what's happened, somewhat conjecturally at times, and people are making very solid statements about it.
Who?
Well,
like
the
Twitter
people who are concerned by this, not necessarily Twitter eggs, but like, whoever, just whoever it is, and it's essentially turned into a purity test, and we found the people who are not pure, and
not pure in what?
What do you mean not pure in what?
What purity of what?
Purity of ethical standards.
Right. And what are they? Why do they have to be pure?
Because people demand it. Like you said earlier,
so
people expect a higher level of ethics in this community.
Yeah, that's a problem if you want them to like you and continue supporting you. Like, it's a threat to income.
Hang on, sorry.
Oh shit, chat. I can't see you, but I've run out of songs.
Right, sorry, what were we saying again? Fuck's sake.
People expecting purity of ethical standards.
Yeah, you were the one who was saying that the community in general expects a higher level of ethical standards than usual.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and it is good. And when someone fails that, there's no cutoff point.
Okay. Why does there need to be for these random people? You mean like random viewers?
Well, no, I don't mean random viewers. I mean like long-time subscribers, really. People who are invested in this. Let me...
Why is that an issue? An issue? What's that a problem for? What does that cause?
Well, honestly, I think it just causes unnecessary quagmire in any kind of discussion going forward. Because, I mean, people seem to think this is the internet and it's nothing, but it's really not nothing. And I'm not talking from like an individual perspective. I'm talking about the impressions that come out of it, the ideas that are generated. Some of them are really good, and some of them do travel. I mean, I've seen ideas that I'm sure have originated in our neck of the woods being parroted on like, newspaper websites and stuff in the comment sections and all this sort of stuff. And so I think we are having an effect. it, and I think something is happening. And like, 6 months down the line, if someone's like, yeah, but what about Candid? Oh, fucking hell, Jesus Christ, I don't know, man, what? And I'm just personally sick of hearing about it.
Are you bothered by the ads that keep coming out? Is that annoying?
No, not at all. It's more.
So the ads are fine, but criticism of it is annoying.
Well, I don't even recall seeing an ad for it recently.
Blair White just released one a few hours ago.
You and I both know exactly what I'm talking about.
Not really.
Yes, you do. And you're asking me these kind of questions in order to try and lead me into a place where you want to trap me. And I know what you're doing. So let's not.
I don't want to trap you. I don't want to trap.
Come on, let's knock it off, and let's just talk like reasonable people, okay?
You don't think it's reasonable to not be bothered by internet comments?
Do you think that I said that?
No, I'm asking you.
Well, why are you asking me if you know I didn't say that?
I'm making sure. I think that's what you think I'm trying to do.
Stop playing this game with me, man. You know.
I know that's what
you know. I know you know. So knock it off, man.
I know you know that I know that you know.
Exactly. So let's not play the game and let's talk honestly.
I am talking honestly.
Now you're asking me deceptive questions, misleading questions, and you know it. So let's knock that off, right? Because there's no need to do it. But look.
Are you worried about the appearance of your community?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So why do you care what people
if I was worried about that, do you think I'd spam gay porn?
Well, I mean, maybe you're into it.
Maybe I am.
But what is the problem? Like, if there are a bunch of people who just have a problem with this forever commenting, what does it do?
Okay, let me. I'm not worried about some AdSense or anything like this, or subscribers or anything like that. I've never been worried about that. Basically, I think that I'm worried about the cohesion of the community. I think that's what I'm worried about, because when you get like, one of the problems in Gamergate was the GG Revolt guys who were constantly trying to put an autistic wrench into everything. They were trying to insert this into everything, even when it wasn't necessary. And that's something that I found personally annoying, but also I think it had a detrimental effect on the efficacy of what was going on. And I suppose now I am bringing it back to the community, the culture war aspect.
Yeah, this sounds just about like why I want to disassociate from all this.
And that's fine. I'm happy for you to do so, obviously. But what I'm saying is, do you not think there should be a certain point at which something becomes irrelevant?
Maybe it doesn't. It's up to people to do what they want. I'm not going to get upset about someone's particular.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there.
Like, what do you want to happen? What would ideally happen with this thing? That
for me, what I think should happen.
Or I don't even know how to phrase it.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, right. I think the problem is making enemies out of people who weren't enemies. This is something I find a bit perplexing, and it seems that a lot of people are very excited to do. Like, I'll use the example of Johnny Fox, because this has been a gem for me, and I'm just thrilled about it. Johnny Fox, he was always very cordial with me until he could find something that he thought was on me.
I've had a run in with him. He's very hot-headed, but he chills out just as fast. Right. He does chill out just as fast.
Yeah, but this is my point, isn't it? It's this kind of trigger that oh my god, and it's like, okay, calm down. You haven't really looked at this from both sides. You've got like a one-sided opinion or view of things, and then you've jumped. And I mean, for example, we're not taking into the account the other side here. This is, I mean, I should get Sure Skeptic on to be able to defend themselves, but I'm not.
That would be fun.
Well, I'm sure it would be thrilling, but I'm not. And I think that a lot of people take this sort of one-sided thing and run with it when it's not fair, frankly, to do so. And I'm not saying that these people haven't done anything wrong. I'm just saying,
you want internet commenters to be fairer.
Well, do you not?
I don't really care.
Okay, well, I do. I think being
we need less low quality. Like, you want like high quality posts.
See, I see where you go with this. I think they should be filtered too.
I don't necessarily mean that. Like, did you ever go on the chans?
No, I've never used chans.
But the value, because it's anonymous, the value of post quality was always a thing, and people would basically go off on these posts if they were shit. Much more sort of people cared a lot more about keeping the standard up rather than ignoring stuff.
I guess that's kind of one of the things that I'm trying to insinuate, I suppose, is that if it's constant backbiting about an issue that, you know, is months past, then I mean that it's no different to what the SJWs do. And I'm just sat there thinking, well, what's the fucking point? Well, I mean, what relevance does it have like 6 months later? So, and yet people still
hang on. The ad that for example, the ad that I'm talking about was like less than a month ago.
Which one's that? Sorry.
Sean Head's ad.
Was it?
Yeah, her second ad was less than a month ago.
Was it? I haven't been following it that close.
I was just talking to you about this.
Yeah, but I didn't realize it was only a month ago. I thought it was ages ago.
January 13th.
Really? Fuck. All right.
It was right after. So Candid had a PR problem with child pornography, and then they quickly whipped out some ads.
Oh, right. Okay, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
All right, well, maybe it's still relevant then. But I guess what I'm speaking to is a larger thing. And I just think it's something that people should consider because, I mean, a lot of this is done for point scoring purposes now. You know, people are like, yeah, I got one over you. And you know, that's fine. If you want to do that, yeah, exactly. It's your choice. But it's hardly a constructive use of people's times.
Is it more constructive to post interracial gay porn at people?
Oh, yeah. Way more.
Like, right, this is gonna sound really gay, but have comments started to get to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's tough life, man. When you've got fucking 500,000 subscribers and you're fighting like this culture war, and then you've got an entire. I mean, there are thousands of SJWs who know who I am by visual sight and hate me beyond reason because I criticize their ideas. I'm not me. There's a reason why my beard's going white.
So it's like the daily grind.
No, it's. Well, no, it's it is
the day after day grind of these comments.
It is stressful. I'm not suggesting anything should be done necessarily. Like I certainly wouldn't want any kind of authority to come down and make any changes or anything like that. Because I mean, you couldn't really. You know, it's how possibly could anyone fairly do that? It's impossible. But I mean, I think that there is. I mean, it is a stressful thing to have to do. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I could pretend like it wasn't, you know, and I'm not. Right. I'm not suggesting it's on anyone else's shoulder.
Understand. I don't quite get exactly what you're talking about with the witch hunt comments, the witch hunting comments, the witch hunting anons, or is it?
No, it's not. It's not anons or anything. It's maybe I should have formulated this more before I brought it up because I'm not even articulating it well for myself. So, but
are these people making threats or something?
No. I'm not worried about threats. I guess
I have a theory about threats where if you got loads and loads of threats and nothing happens to you, you should feel more safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I get threats all the time. I just ignore them. Nothing's happened, so I'm not worried about it. It's not threats. It's. I guess that there is a perception that YouTubers are as remote as other things. And I guess as just an individual, I mean, it's tough when people forget that you're just a dude. And I always try to make the effort to remain at eye level view with everyone. You know, I'll talk to like someone with 10 subscribers in the same way that I'll talk to someone with 1 million subscribers. Or at least I'll try to. I actively try to make the effort to. Because I really want it judged based on the ideas rather than the numbers. But then you end up... Hang on,
why do you care about the number of these comments then? Why let it bother you? It's just one idea being repeated. Discard the idea. Just ignore it.
No, it's not that. That's the thing. It's constant different things. And And this is why, and I hate that I have to do this, but I've taken to blocking certain commenters who just everything they say is just them taking something out of context and just having to dig at me for it. And it's just like, well, you know, I don't need that. But that's what I expect from my enemies. I think it's a different kettle of fish when it's your own audience attacking you for things. And I'm not,
I don't view audiences like that.
That's lucky. That's lucky.
They're not like my audience. I expect enemies to be an audience, right? Like look at the Young Turks. They're definitely people you could call their audience who are purely there to hate watch.
Hey, look, I can neither confirm nor deny if I do that on a regular basis. Okay.
Do you feel betrayed when people do that and they're like irregular?
Of course not. No, of course not. I mean, look, I'm not articulating myself well here. I think it's important to remember that the people you're dealing with are individuals who are not connected to some vast network or organization or something like that. And I think that there's very little charity given to these people. And I'm not sure it's even fair to hold Sean Head to the same standards as Kotaku.
What standards are those?
Well, the standards of a normal journalistic integrity. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she shouldn't. I'm just saying, is it, you know, like Sean Head is a person with a camera and a YouTube channel who got really popular really quickly. I can see how people would make mistakes, and I can see how it would be very difficult if you then had thousands of people all coming at you with the same thing. I can see how it would affect you.
Maybe. But so? What do you want to happen? What do you want? That doesn't mean anything to me.
I know. But it means something to other people. And it's
like the people you or I would typically talk about in videos get that all the time, but
they do.
I don't see much concern.
And they mass block because, I mean, everyone's just human at the end of the day. I mean, I'm not arguing for any kind of censorship or anything like this. I'm just saying, if we have to,
you'd just rather they didn't say it in the first place.
No, not at all. No.
So you want them to say it, or you're okay with them saying it?
Absolutely. But there's a certain tone and tenor in which you say it that definitely has an effect, I think. And I think that if it's someone that isn't obviously a cancer on society, then maybe we don't need to go after them in harsh terms. I mean, like you said yourself, you know, an SJW is going to do it plenty. But the thing is, I see a lot of people doing it. I mean, you should see the messages that Johnny Fox has sent me. And I cannot fucking wait for him to come out with his proof that I'm being paid by Bindu, whatever face is. Because honestly, I'm just going to laugh in his fucking face. Because I know I haven't.
Aren't you concerned about you're concerned about Sean Head getting bothered, right? This guy doesn't even have so she'll get tons of people upset with her, but she also has a ton of loving people. Johnny Fox doesn't have that. Why aren't you more concerned for him? And he's obviously got issues.
On the attack. He's the one lying.
So you then don't take into consideration what you were taking into consideration for Sean Head.
Yeah, but who's she attacking?
Feminists, for example.
Well, I don't agree with going and giving feminists harassment. I don't think that we should necessarily try to engage these people. I actually think that the best thing to do is raise awareness to normies who don't know anything about these people. But what I mean is, I wouldn't want...
So what, the intention behind your video yesterday regarding Johnny Fox, what were you trying to do?
It wasn't yesterday. It was... I haven't done a video about Johnny Fox.
Your response to him? Were you talking about professional artist Johnny Fox?
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, what about that one? Sorry.
What was that? How does... Right,
that was me proving that I'm not...
That's what you do.
Candid.
So if someone makes a video like that or comments that are along those lines towards someone else, I don't get it. I don't get the standard.
Look, as I said, I know I'm not articulate.
I'm hearing your concern for people receiving a lot of hate.
No,
And
no. Let me try to think of a way of articulating it that isn't going to be misinterpreted. I hate this because I'm gonna have to use the words community. No, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not even gonna. Fuck it, dude. I retract what I've been saying. Fuck it. I'm wrong. I can't think of a way of expressing it off the cuff that isn't going to be misinterpreted, so I'm not going to.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, what I was doing with the Skeptic Community video was just trying to suggest to people, look, we don't need to cannibalize our own, because that's what the SJWs do.
I don't think of people as my own.
Well, I know, but you do, though.
Do I?
Yes. You've said so in the stream. The people against your own aren't necessarily the same as my own, but your own are the people who are concerned about the filtering of social media and things like that. And you considered Skeptic and Shu on that side of the fence until they went onto the other side. So there is.
Oh, that's more my way of describing the individual issue and what side of a particular issue you're on.
Sure, but then that's the same for everything.
Yeah, but I'm not very happy with the idea of that influencing behavior regarding any other issue.
Well, there's behavior and then there's criticism, isn't there? Now, I totally agree that you should be as critical as you like about anything you want. And that includes me, my friends, anyone else, right? I don't care, But there comes a point where this becomes a purity test, and then it becomes the SJWs cannibalizing Laurie Penny for even deigning to write about Milo Yiannopoulos. That's a danger that I think that
they want her out of their group.
Sorry?
They're excluding her from their group.
I think it's worse than that, actually. I think it's actually worse. I think that they're attacking her to enhance their own status within the group. I don't think they're necessarily trying to cast her out.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people also do this. And this is my problem with purity tests, because the only objection is, and not necessarily in the case of Shu, but in the case of Laurie Penny, the objection isn't that she isn't a feminist, and it's not that she's, not the things she says. It's that she is not them enough. And then it becomes an ideological purity test. And I honestly can see the signs of it going that way with Candid. And so that's why I'm here talking about this with you now, because
that's why I'm confused about purity tests, because I absolutely reject this group identity. So I don't understand how purity.
Yeah, but you don't reject the ideological conception of not, for example, betraying your audience.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to have someone in or out.
Well, yeah, but you're holding them to a particular standard.
Yeah. Is holding someone to a particular standard a purity test in a way that is bad?
Does it have to be bad? I mean, I'm not saying it has to be bad, but it can become bad.
I figured there was a negative connotation to you saying this is turning into a purity test.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it is. That's the problem. I mean, there is certainly a degree to which you can. I mean, absolutely, people who should be held certain standards, but then it goes past that, and there are people who don't let this go, and it just becomes a purity test. And I don't like purity tests. I'm very much against them because nobody is pure. So
how does it work? What's the model of the purity test? Explain to me exactly what you've got in your mind as.
Yeah, sure.
When is it not purity test? When is it? Because I'm.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not necessarily even sure about that myself. But you can, when you see it. For example, Laurie Penny being called a liberal fascist sympathizer or enabler or whatever they called her. I mean, that's obviously a purity test. I mean, you could see them moving the goalposts every time she said, well, I did this. Yeah, well, I did this. Yeah, well, I did this. And they'd be like, yeah, but you didn't do this and this and this. Things that weren't even remotely considered. And to the point where it's like even talking about Breitbart was the tremendous thing. So, I mean, let's not pretend that there isn't something that we can acknowledge as to be the purity test. And I'm just saying that I think that the Candid stuff is certainly going that way. I'm not saying it's there now, and it might be, it might not be, I'm not sure. But I think it's something to bear in mind when we're doing anything. Because, and regardless of whether you find yourself, even if you find yourself as an individual, you may find at some point your own audience takes that same tack with you. And I think it's something that isn't very healthy.
That's fine.
For any, okay, and that's great. But my opinion is that it's not a very healthy state of affairs, because it becomes,
well, it's
frankly,
not. It's not for creators, because it puts your status in jeopardy.
I'm not worried about the status. Well, I mean, what do you mean?
And
by
it puts your income in jeopardy too.
No, I'm not worried about that.
Weren't you concerned with people supporting?
No. That's a separate subject.
Because something like people having a too high a standard to support you, too high a standard for your stuff, will make them less likely to give you money.
No, I'm not worried about that at all. I'm concerned with the dialogue.
Concerning people in comment sections.
Concerning the conversations we have on YouTube with these videos and the whole thing. I mean, if it turns into the thing is, this is, I mean, you know, we're doing very well, and we do very well because we're not the sort of community that goes on purity tests. I mean, you know, these things are just.
I wish it was, so I could be excluded.
Dude, you can exclude really yourself good. Anytime you fucking want. You didn't have to come on here. You know,
just come
and talking to me makes you part of something.
I'm not talking about, right. So we've got the idea of community in a dictionary definition kind of sense. Yeah. In which case I'm in tons of communities. The thing I don't like is the further implication, or what it actually means to some people.
Go on.
So let's say I go on poll and talk to a bunch of fascists. You could say I'm part of a neo-Nazi community. If you want to stretch things out so far, when it starts to be a matter of membership of a community, meaning special consideration of etiquette beyond what you would apply to another group, and you're not voluntarily being part of this community in that way, it makes me want to clearly distance myself. Like I was saying, some people find, when I talk about people who are seen to be in my community, my primary community or something, they see it as infighting, and that makes them not want it to happen. And while I'm not concerned with them expressing that view, I'm concerned with them having that view, meaning my message doesn't get across so well.
Right, and why wouldn't it get across so well?
Because of the desire to, or not the desire to, the viewing it through the lens of classifying it as infighting, and something that should be ended and smoothed out to improve cohesion. Because I'm not interested in cohesion.
That's fine. You know, there is no expectation on you to be interested in cohesion. I mean, my video wasn't even to you.
Oh, I know.
I certainly didn't have you in mind when I made it, because, I mean, I guess I'd never really thought about you as a member of this community necessarily. I mean, in an indirect way, maybe, but I mean, you'd always struck me as being on the outside, so I'd never really thought about it.
Right.
I think what I'm trying to say is,
well, I'm
like with anything that's a thing that people go to and they interact with other people, that's a community. So your channel is a community, and it might be or might not be connected to a larger community. And even if you're taking the attitude of I don't want to be, I even don't want my channel to be considered a community, that's, well, really, it's beyond your control. So
is a newspaper a community?
You could certainly get communities around like newspaper websites. Yeah, I mean, my missus goes on the Daily Mail website every day just to troll people, and there's definitely a community there. People who go there and chat.
What does that mean, though?
Well, I mean,
it's
not a huge amount.
Like it when it goes beyond pure classification and then becomes a reason to do something or to be a certain way.
Yeah, I agree. There was I can't remember the name of it, but there was a feminist Facebook page that basically devolved into purity tests, and I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it had like, I don't know, 15, 20,000 people, something like that, and it ended up completely being destroyed from within by people continually going on about things, not necessarily like this, but in a similar fashion to what I've seen happen. And I guess that I'm just concerned that that's going to be the case, and I just think it's something that's worth warning against, because that sort of thing is a cancer. And I mean, at what point would you, well, not necessarily you, but I think that people, what they need to think of is, if you feel betrayed by people within the community, quote unquote, the thing that I think you need to decide for yourselves is, at what point do you accept the apology, or the, I guess apology is the right word. At what point do you let this go?
At what point does the audience member find it settled? Yeah,
because there are a lot of people who don't, and those people are really going to be the death of anything fun or exciting that we do here. And I think it's just worth warning about them and being aware of them, and that there's a certain kind of person who does this. So it's a tiny minority of people, but I think it's worth warning and being aware of them, because these people are the kiss of death.
Why not just ignore them?
No, I agree. I think they should be ignored.
I don't get it.
No worries. I'm sure that
I get the idea.
Myself.
Right. So it's a concern that I could get having if so in the context of a Facebook page, you've got all the people there, and they become a community in the sense more than just merely interacting. They get some sort of group identity, and then what it means to be.
I wouldn't necessarily call it group identity. I mean, I suppose it is in the most loose sense of the word, but it's not like.
Well, isn't that where the issue of purity test comes in? When it's about being
that's sort of
fitting the group's identity standard.
No, it's not the group's identity. It's certainly about ideological purity. It's certainly about the standards, and then holding these standards past the degree of being reasonable. And I'm not saying that you're guilty of this either. I do see a lot of people who do this, and I sit there and think, oh my God, come on, this is just beyond silliness now. I'm not even talking about Candid either.
Right, but you're talking about just random commenters or what?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they're random, but just the atmosphere in the community. It's worth paying attention to. The things you do make what you are. And so if you are repeatedly going on about something that is honestly not that important and has been going on for a long time, then it becomes a way of one-upping each other rather than becoming about productive discussion. That's all I'm saying.
I have, I had videos on my channel that are just me like screaming at video games. I'm not too concerned about that stuff.
Well, I'm not talking about you.
Who are you talking about?
I can't give you a specific name off the top of my head, although I probably could. If I check Twitter, I'm sure I've got a few notifications that will be exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. But okay, hang on.
Is it to do with the?
Apparently, according to Ricoculous Idea, you're roasting me right now.
Oh,
Do you feel like you're roasting me?
no, I'm just chilling.
I don't feel very roasted. But this is what I mean. These people who are looking to fight, even when they
I
don't
love
really.
that.
Well, yeah, me too. But who are they fighting?
It's not.
Exactly.
It's not fighting. It's not fighting
Oh,
like
they
a
are.
proper harmful way.
Oh, now. We
It's
start getting
internet
subjective
sport.
about it. Oh, well, I agree. But there becomes a point where it's no longer sport. That's my point. And I'm not saying I know where exactly this point is, and I'm not saying it's the same point for everyone. I'm just saying, I think it's worth
Anything like
considering.
have you seen that fucking iDubbbz video
No.
where he goes to that chick's like meetup thing? I don't know. I know iDubbbz.
iDubbbz.
I don't know. Okay, so there's some sort of scuffle or something. I don't even know the context, but the funniest fucking video I've seen is this guy iDubbbz going to this other YouTube person's meetup, and they were having some trouble over the use of the word nigger or whatever or something. And I lost my mind when he goes to this meetup, puts his arm around her, and is going to have a picture taken. He just goes, "Say nigger," and she loses. Anything less than that,
link to that. That sounds fucking crazy.
Anything less than that is not enough. Like, I don't even know the context of their spat or whatever was going on.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, I don't know about that, but that's fucking brilliant. But yeah, that's trolling though. That's just like trolling, isn't it? I mean, that was just a troll, right?
I think so, something like that. Whatever, it was really funny.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
There are some. I think I know what you're referring to, particularly when it's when it's the same person saying the same thing under your videos.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm not trying to say that it's like wrong to do it. It's I realize what I'm saying is like pretty airy and nothing concrete, but you know it when you see it. And like Laurie Penny being chewed out by Antifa for being a liberal fascist sympathizer was definitely it. And I'm just concerned about like generally, and this isn't just for like me or my community on my channel or like your community on your channel or like
I think it depends on what position
the
you
shared
want to
audience
be in,
that we have and stuff like this. I'm really just talking about in principle, that like there needs to be a point where we like just sit there and go, okay, this has kind of gone beyond the pale now, and like
that's enough, children.
Well, kind of, but I mean, come on, like Laurie Penny being honestly, I'd say in defense of Laurie, I'm saying it in defense of Laurie Penny, and I don't like Laurie Penny, but calling her a liberal fascist collaborator, whatever they were calling her, that's just fucking stupidity.
Yeah. My concern out of that would be the people trying to justify violence against fascists, and not those kind of claims themselves. But I'm not.
Yeah, but
dumb. It's very dumb of them to say, having read what she writes in New Statesman. But I find it hard to be bothered by that at a more basic level than thinking it's dumb.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is dumb, but it has more important effects than it just being dumb. And I think it's something that's well worth avoiding. That's all. It's recognize when someone is being unbelievably autistic and disregard, I think, is my advice.
I think unbelievable autism is probably my greatest trait.
And it probably is. But you know what I'm saying though, right? I mean, I'm not
really.
Okay, fine, don't understand.
I love the culture of conflict that's growing online. Is that what you mean? Would culture of conflict be a vague descriptor that sounds about right?
No, not at all.
No?
Not at all. Oh. No, I mean, I'm obviously I don't shy away from conflict. It's I don't know. I should have thought of a better way to phrase it when I started. I can't think of a better way of explaining.
Maybe you can write it down or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I should
Because
have.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I should have written a script. Well, I can't describe it any better than that. Like, there comes a point when you're having reasonable conversations with people, and they degenerate into this ideological shit test, and I'm just not really interested in it. And I see a lot of people doing it with Candid with people, and I'm just sitting thinking, what a waste of my time.
Don't let your time be wasted then.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I don't think I've really got much else to add. I'm sure there are going to be people going, "Oh my god, I don't get this at all," and you're wrong because of X. And fair enough. You know, I can understand there being lots of people not understanding what I'm saying because I'm not being particularly specific, except in the instance of Laurie Penny. And
do you? We're sort of at a point where it's like I don't know what you're saying, and then you're saying you're having trouble articulating it. So if you want to hop onto something else, I have a question. Do you properly block people or do you mute them?
I don't know why. I'll have to check.
Because I don't like blocking. I don't block or mute, but this is just a random aside. This isn't important or even necessarily connected to other stuff. But if you block someone, the main point there, I think, is to stop them from seeing you. And if you mute someone, it stops you from seeing them only.
I never really thought that.
Because I was having an IRL argument with someone recently, and I was trying, because believe it or not, I like to start arguments. Talking about blocking and censorship, and is there any connection? And I ended up thinking about it as hard as I can, and I was thinking the problem with blocking is that you're denying someone access to information that's otherwise public, and I'm not a fan of that. But if you simply mute them, you're covering your own eyes and not theirs.
That's very interesting.
I figured it might be slightly interesting and maybe spark something else after sort of things dribbling down. Is chat bored?
No. I think that's very interesting. Denying them access to something that is otherwise public. I suppose you are.
Because I mean, obviously, you don't have to make all your information public. But if it's something that's being published, it's like imagine being denied access to a newspaper. Like you can't look at this newspaper.
You're not allowed to buy this newspaper because you left a nasty comment.
Yeah. Obviously there's no financial interaction. But I've been thinking about it, and I'm not even sure exactly how I feel about it.
It's interesting, isn't it? But I think this is kind of the thing I'm talking about, where this is getting into the realms of autism, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Just so we're clear. Yeah,
I know people have noticed people are thinking they notice a shift right with you. You've not gone all the way to eugenics, have you?
Oh well, I mean,
you're not gonna.
It really depends on the race in question, doesn't it? No, I don't think I have.
Is that where you think the comments are coming from? You've got to breed the commenters out. No.
I'm not. No. It's not that. It's not even. I don't know. It's not even the commenters specifically. It's. I suppose my.
You mean like when certain people produce videos that rile people up repeatedly? No.
Oh. Yeah, I know. I'm not articulating this very well. But I'll worry about it later and see if I can think of a good way of explaining it. I'm probably just not stoned enough to articulate it yet.
Right.
It'll come to me. But yeah, I tell you, that's an interesting way of looking at blocking. Denying someone something that is otherwise publicly available. That's very interesting.
Because you keep hearing people saying, "Oh, people block because they can't handle looking at them or whatever." What it does is it stops. The function is meant to be to stop people looking at you, because muting is separate.
Yeah.
And it's that's what I find because I'm wondering if some of the people who are notorious for blocking, like Steve Shives,
Yeah,
are more concerned about people looking at them.
they are. They are.
And
Okay.
I've been thinking about trying to convince people who would otherwise block to just mute instead.
Okay, so I've got a few interesting comments on Twitter, which this is one that actually really is an interesting one. What you were saying earlier, and I think this does relate to what you were saying earlier. So like for example, like don't sit there and say like you don't know what you mean by the shared audience community thing, because I know you do. So
I know in the sense that there's that the overlaps are there and all that.
Sure.
But I don't think that should. I mean, you can choose to go with that and utilize that fact, or you can disregard it.
Sure. No, that's yeah, that's very fair. And
because I'm sure, for example, well, I've definitely got white nationalist audience members that would create an overlap that you could probably draw on a graph or something.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not interested in condemning people or anything for the people in their audience.
No, I'm not going down that path either.
All right.
I'm saying I have no care whatsoever about that sort of community, and I wouldn't take anything about that shared audience into consideration. And even though there's a huge overlap between,
but like you said with the Candid stuff, you do understand that there is, and as this commenter points, a certain zeitgeist in the shared audience that we have among the people we're talking about, who expect a higher standard of ethics, and that was the main driving factor to do Candid, serve the audience, right?
Yeah.
Right. So this guy's like, a zeitgeist has developed among the people who frequently view our content, and I'm warning about the health of that zeitgeist, and that's a really good way of describing it. And thank you, Sage Bias, I appreciate that. That's what I'm talking about. This is, and I can see the end result of neglecting it in Laurie Penny and her Twitter account. You can see the end result of allowing this kind of autism to manifest and spread. And I mean, you don't need to do anything. You just have to, just not be an autist. If that's,
I think it's hilarious.
It is.
I'd like to see an increase in it. I'd like to see like the skeptic community like set on fire. It would be really funny.
I'm sure it would be hilarious, and don't get me wrong, it would be in a lot of ways. But it's not what I'm after.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever you're after is a different way of is more like utilizing that community rather than just recognizing it.
I'd say it's more maintaining it rather than
yeah. That works as well. That works. It's hard for me to pick the right words.
Yeah, but I think that there should. I mean, I think if you've created something decent, then why wouldn't you like try to maintain it?
Maintaining it means different things to different people. It depends what you desire from it.
That's true. I mean, from my own like audience and my channel, I would just like to see interrogation of good interrogation of ideas, and that's why I'm trying to avoid the purity test thing. I'm sure it's not going to happen. I mean, I'm undoubtedly worrying needlessly. But I guess I can see the first signs of it,
Right.
Like this whole
just be aware that I'm totally disregarding that because I don't care.
No, I appreciate that. It's not really for you that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
I mean, this is more for the benefit of other people listening, saying, okay, you know what, that is actually something I've seen happening myself, but I haven't really noticed. And I've got a bunch of people on Twitter saying basically the same thing as well to me. And it's, I guess you're kind of a platform to
I'll hunt them all down and ruthlessly bully them one by one.
Yes. But yeah, it's not like a personal thing. I don't know how to describe it. If it was personal, I would just deal with it. It'd be no problem.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I'm talking about the zeitgeist. At the moment,
it's a bit meta.
It is a bit meta, isn't it? That's exactly what it is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being aware of that. And I think, again, I'm not asking anyone to do anything, but it's just an idea I want to filter down to people I've noticed, and I'm looking at it in other communities, and you can see these like huge fucking rifts, and people who otherwise didn't give a shit about people, who are now like, or even in favor of them, who are now just like they're their worst enemy. And I'm just looking at that thinking, Christ,
why is that? What's that a problem for?
Well, it generally is the signal of the death of that community. This is the thing we saw in I can't remember the name of the fucking feminist Facebook group. So what were you saying?
If you're not concerned with cohesion in the first place, can it fall apart?
Well, I am concerned.
Yeah.
In a sort of tangential way with cohesion. I don't see. This is what the point of that video was. I mean, there's no denying that there is a community, and I don't see the point of unnecessarily antagonizing people and disrespecting people within that community. If you want to, and you want to be on the outside of it, that's fine.
Don't disrespect people within that community, but what the people outside, it's different.
I think
are you is what you're talking about in group out group?
Well, I suppose to a degree it is, yeah.
Yeah, I want to be out group to that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Even if there's crossover, like to explain what I've been doing recently.
I'm not really talking about you. I appreciate that you want to be outside of this group, and that's fine.
Right.
You do as you like. And I mean, and again, I use community in the loosest sense of the fucking word. I guess that's just my personal preference. I would just rather see something that was more level-headed than like just angry people trying to get a rise out of each other. Necessarily, it's not very productive. And like I said, I mean, there are definite effects coming from what we're doing. So I don't know. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. I suppose we may as well end it there, since I think I've got everything.
Responsible meme spreading. Raise your internet children well.
Jesus Christ. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm more talking about people, if you like them, and if they do something wrong. I mean, I guess Hanlon's razor kind of applies a lot of this, because I think a lot of the stuff with Candid, it was assumed that this is all done from malice rather than stupidity. And I honestly think that a lot of this has been done through stupidity. What do you think?
It depends who and what you're talking about.
Well, like shoe on head with the videos. Do you think this was done out of malice or stupidity?
It's not necessarily either of those.
Well,
just self-interest.
And you don't think that'd fall under malice?
But I'd say that would be going too far.
Okay.
To maybe I'm getting the definition wrong, but I think when I'm thinking of malice, I'm thinking of someone deliberately trying to cause harm.
But you don't think she was deliberately trying to cause harm?
No, I think very rarely people do.
So, I mean, would it be fair to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she fucked up rather than she was out to make money at the expense of her audience?
Personally, no. I think that's a position people could take. At this point, it looks otherwise to me, though. If you're smart enough to hide that video, you know what you're doing.
Okay. Well, I think
you don't accidentally.
No, but I mean, I think it's every chance that that's been done out of fear, don't you?
I'd put that under self-interest.
Well, yeah, but everyone acts in self-interest.
Yeah.
So there's no point. There's no point classifying something as being out of self-interest. Well, yeah, everything is.
As opposed to malice or stupidity.
Yeah, but were they acting?
Do you think she was cyberbullied into doing that?
No, I think she was just afraid. I think I don't think she realized how she'd fucked up.
Okay.
That's my opinion. That's how it looks to me. But I mean, I don't know. And again, like I said, I know that what I'm saying is like all.
It depends on where you are, because I'm looking at this the same way I'd look at like an article or something as something to make to produce polemics on. It's like I had no intention of doing more than one video, and then when Mundane Matt made his response, I had to do another one. And then when Bindu does his shit, I have to do another one because it's fucking hilarious and amazing.
Well, more than that, it's, you know, suddenly you've pulled a string and it's unraveling and you have to follow it. Yeah, no, I'm not. Like I said, I'm actually not criticizing you necessarily. And I think the videos you did were important because I think it's important to know if there is an ulterior motive behind Candid. But I think that the ulterior motive lies with the people making Candid rather than the YouTubers themselves. And I only say that because I know the YouTubers. If there was someone who I thought weren't, if I thought they were that sort of person, you know, like the sort of people who use like, I don't know, like extreme clickbait titles and then have a bullshit video or something. I wouldn't think that they were acting in a way that was more stupidity than malice. I would naturally attribute that to malevolent, or not malevolent, malicious. That sounds too harsh, but you know what I mean. Like, I wouldn't assume that was people arguing directly out of self-interest in financial interest, because I mean with Shu, it really does look like she's just like nervous and she's kind of stepped herself into something that she didn't really know the full scope of. I don't know about other people. I've only been paying attention to that bit, but yeah, I don't know. I should have maybe thought about this more before I did it. But
well, like I think there's a lot of people who think I am or was closer friends with people than I am or was. Like there's you're friends with these people, right?
Well, I mean, I don't speak to them very often.
Right.
I would say I was friends with them, but not like, so they're not people I speak to like on a daily basis or anything.
Right. But I just don't really care whether someone on the internet is afraid or not.
Dude, I'm not expecting you to. I'm really trying to talk to the people listening, saying that and I think the term zeitgeist is a good one. I think that's an important one. And I'm trying to warn against autistic purity tests. That's it. You know, it becomes
within your community,
within any community. Honestly, within any community, I think they're counterproductive and they're the beginning of the end for that community. So if people enjoy a certain kind of community, don't sit there and be autistic about it because you'll end up destroying it. You know, the thing is, it's easy for people to do on the internet and in principle, but it's as soon as these sort of principles and this purity hits real life, the whole thing starts skidding off the roads. So it's more hassle than it's worth.
For some.
And that's not to you, obviously. That's just to people listening. There's just a warning from me about purity tests. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about it, actually.
Right.
Is there anything else you want to go over?
Let me think for a sec.
I think I think one of the things that people like doing, and this is something that we see all the time, people like tearing down their idols. And I don't blame them. There is a certain satisfaction to this. And I guess that the thing I want to try and explain to people is that, like, people on YouTube are not idols, and you shouldn't make idols of them. People on YouTube are very, very normal people most of the time. and at least the people I know are. So tearing them down is not as useful as you might think, because you don't tear them down very far, and you don't really achieve much at the end of it.
Okay.
That's just
like that's the comment.
Yeah,
right?
it's not towards you, obviously. I mean, would you want people to think of you as an idol?
No. The tear people down bit, though. Like, one of the coolest experiences was when I did a video about H3H3 and Leafy, and people were fucking angry. That was awesome.
Sorry, say it again.
Like, quite a while ago, sometime last year, I made a video about H3H3 and Leafy, yeah. And people were fucking angry. It was awesome.
What were they angry about?
Because I basically did it in a way that parodied one of them while attacking the other. So you had about half of them getting what was going on and liking it or whatever, and then the other half was then split into two, and each half of that half was a fan of one of the people.
Right. Okay.
They were angry.
That sounds really amusing.
It was.
Not gonna lie. Look, the thing is, I know I'm a troll to a certain extent as well, right? And I love trolling. But I guess there's a time and a place, and
it's called the internet.
Yeah, I know. But I guess you don't shit on your own front door, That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't make sense to do it to yourself. But anyway, I think
that's how people feel about the idea of paid counter videos. The people who believe in community in that way view that as shitting where you eat.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's but by the other stretch of the scale, and I know there are going to be people. I mean, I'm already seeing a couple of people on this saying this week, like Sargon's against criticism or something. I think, fucking hell, man, how far in the other direction do you have to go? It's like you're not representing things accurately. But yeah, I can't really think of anything else to add that's going to be useful. Right. So
yeah, I don't know what else would be a good topic.
Well, that's all right. We'll stop because I need to go take a shit anyway. So fuck it.
Right.
But
don't do where you eat, whatever you do.
Well, look, I'm not saying that I built a toilet in my kitchen, but the cats go on the floor, so why can't I?
Right.
All
Pretty much.
I mean, how's my missus never going to know when she goes down to clean it up in the morning? Anyway, I'll speak to you all later. Thanks for coming on, Harmful.
All right. See ya.